Oh, here they are. Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome.
I'm Wendy Yee. I hopped in there too quick.
I knew where my glasses were.
Yeah.
Mine are at home on the sink.
I told Laura this morning that I might just have to wear them all the time. I don't like wearing them all the time. I don't need to, but I'm always looking and reading. See, reading, kids, it's not good for you.
No. Reading will do you in.
You know, it's true. My daughter's optometrist told me to have her read less.
She's a nerd, Tom.
She is.
That's
She
the
reads
problem.
a lot. She reads a lot.
Daughter, if
She's
you're
already
watching
got bad
this,
eyes.
go back to school.
I would just tell that optometrist to jump in a leg. I don't feel like you can read too much. But anyway.
Both of our eyes are awful. Our daughter drew the shortest stick of them all when it comes to optical clarity.
Yes. Yes.
Well, folks, welcome to Board Game Breakfast, a show about board games and the people who play them. Let's start off with a contest for you all. This is for, a game that got a lot of love last year, Orichalcum. Orichalcum, this is a co-design from Bruno Catala. Obviously, such a strong designer, they didn't bother saying who the other designer is. Johannes Goopy. It's a tense and fast-paced strategy game. It's like a short 4X, only 5 points you need to win. I briefly wondered what the question was.
Well done.
Because I knew that because Mike and Z keep saying that. You have to clear your island of all the monsters. You can win a copy of this. You just need to email us at contest@dicetower.com. In the subject line, put the word Titans. And there is no question here that you need to answer. So in there, put how many points do you need to get to win the game? And also give us your address. Okay.
And then your favorite quote from Remember the Titans. Or not. That part's optional.
Remember the Titans is in my top 10 favorite sports movies. Maybe top 5, actually.
Oh, we're doing sports movies only. That's probably in my top 10.
You're wearing your football tie.
That's right.
I'm wearing a hockey shirt.
How do you feel about Radio?
I don't
Do you
listen to
remember
it
that
anymore.
movie? No, the sports movie, Radio.
Wendy, where's your sports paraphernalia?
In my back pocket.
Go Eagles!
On my phone.
Anywho, also check out Wolves. You can see Wolves behind me here. A game about having a pack of wolves and being the alpha wolf. So thank you, Pandasaurus, for sponsoring this morning's board game breakfast. Okay, we also want to say thank you to some of our Kickstarter backers. Now, I'm not going to push the Kickstarter. And why? Because it's over. Yay.
You missed it.
I kept checking it all weekend, realizing, oh, that's right. Because when you run a Kickstarter, you constantly check. And I was like, the number doesn't change. But if you backed our Kickstarter, thank you. If you missed it, which I've already gotten like 10 emails of people saying you missed it. First of all, stop missing it. I posted it. We tell everyone about it. But if you missed it, we will tell you when the pledge manager's up. And we have some backers from our last Kickstarter. We want to say thank you to Daniel Weitzman, to Joshua Rathkamp, to David Thomas, to Kevin Burkhardsmeyer, to Lee Cheeseman, to DJ Dole, to Paul O'Shea, Courtney Wilson, Sean Roberts. I'm getting more excited.
You're getting more excited.
I'm pulling that one guy who shouted all the names of the states in his political speech one time.
Sorry, Kevin Burkhardsmeyer.
Borja Hernandez Gonzalez and Kurt Evans.
Now give one of those big screams. Woo!
As a side note, Mike, since you're here, we mentioned one of our backers, Ben Stein, and how he was not the actual Ben Stein when Ben Stein's money, but he was on the show.
Whoa!
Really? He sent me a YouTube video where they found 3 people named Ben Stein, and he was one of them.
Well, no joke. This David Thomas over here has also eaten at a Wendy's.
Really?
I'm assuming.
I assume, yeah.
Wendy's is better than McDonald's, at least.
They make really good chili.
They don't cut corners.
I like the chili.
That's why the burgers are square.
Oh,
I think
and
that's
the
all I need this for. So let's get started. Here we go.
Hi, it's Tarrant.
And Stella from Meeple University. Today we have the kiddie version of Everdell, as you can probably see on the title there, My Little Everdell. Still designed by James Wilson, plus I think Clarissa Wilson as well. Yes. And this is an entry level. It feels definitely like Everdell, but much simpler.
Yeah, it strips out most of the action spaces. It strips out the direct combos between cards. So it makes it a lot simpler.
Yep. and there are only 3 workers. You start with 3 worker placement workers, and you don't gain more in this game. It still comes with cute little squishy berries, and the wood pieces don't roll around.
Yes, which of course was a well-regarded issue with the first game.
Yeah, we had really fun with Everdell, but this one is definitely it's really simple. It's definitely a, I would say, gateway game. Would you say?
Yeah, very much. If you're a big fan of Everdell, this isn't going to scratch your itch. But if you want to introduce Everdell and Everdell's at a slightly too high a level, this will do the job.
Yeah, it's definitely, as you say, as Taryn said, there's no combo trying to get creatures and get the place, and vice versa. Or is it vice versa?
It's always critters onto places.
Yeah. So that is it. If you are interested, it's a family level getaway, check out My Little Everdell. Thanks for watching.
What is up? My name is Matthew McCack, and this is Smashing Buns and Slamming Cards. This is a segment where I talk about a video game I love and I connect it to a board game I love. And this week, I am continuing with my top 1 series of what board game is my number 1 board game for a video game genre. And this week's video game genre, I am talking about survival video games. Now, these are games like The Forest or Don't Starve Together, things like that, where essentially you are trying to figure out how to survive with the limited resources that you have, and you're going around trying to gather even more resources that allow you to create better, maybe like recipes or a better housing system that you've got going on for you. And my number 1 board game for this genre is Robinson Crusoe. So Robinson Crusoe is a fantastic survival cooperative style game where you are trying to survive, right? There's multiple scenarios in this game. I think there's like 12 in this base box here. And you are either inventing things or you are exploring the island for different resources, or just even different like landscapes. That way you can actually build different inventions. You're trying to keep your the tent and the campsite up to par. That way, you don't get hit with the weather and the animals and all that stuff. You're also trying to build up your weapons, make them better. That way you can, eat that night, or maybe even just defend yourself if you need to. So it's very hard. It's very, very difficult, which is something I really enjoy about this game. I really feel like I just survived Robinson Crusoe if I ever beat this game. And I think I've beaten this game maybe like once or twice. Anyway, that is it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like, you could check out mine and my brother's channel called Room 51. I'll catch you next time.
40 years ago, Talisman came out. It sucked. Let's move on. Let's not move on. All right. I know every time we talk about Talisman and every time I say it sucks, the Talisman defenders show up in full force, which is straight up because of nostalgia.
But they can't actually get here because they didn't roll the right number, Tom.
So Talisman is a game in which, I don't know if you've played it.
I have not played it.
You've not played it either.
I have not really sought it out, no.
You have to get to the middle. So there's 3 rings, and you have to get to the middle. And on your turn, you roll a die, and you get to pick which direction you go.
Is middle a direction?
Well, no, you have to land on these things and get certain cards that let you move up to the next level, and then you need to get a talisman, so you can go up to the final level and then go fight the final boss. Whenever you fight someone, you roll a die, and you can add in bonuses or whatever. The thing is, when you land a lot of spaces, it's draw a monster, and that monster could be a dragon or a rat. It's completely random. The whole game is random. You have one choice, which is which direction to go, and many times it's like, do I want to draw a card here or draw a card there? People say it's fantastic. I hate every moment of it. I don't know what I played it after I played more modern games. I don't know what I would have thought as a kid. I probably would have liked it more.
Nostalgia has a lot of weight in that kind of stuff.
It was kind of like the original Fireball Island or the original Dark Tower or stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like those games were captivating, and so I think that people love those for that reason.
Yeah, but there are games from those days, Fortress America, Axis and Allies, Cosmic Encounter, Kingsmaker, that I think are actually good games. I don't think this is good. And even worse, Talisman's on its like 5th edition now, and it's never been improved.
Better?
They just keep making the same game over and over again.
Well, they also make the Batman one and the Harry Potter one, and yeah, I really appreciate Dan Hughes' mindset on this one, where he says, well, there has to be a worst game in the world somewhere, and so it's Talisman.
It's not Talisman. Okay? I played DoorDash, the board game.
Yeah, but DoorDash is quicker, isn't it? Like, that's the other problem with Talisman, is it's super long.
It can be, yes. It can be very long, and there's also a ton of expansions that make it longer. There's you mentioned the different versions. Probably the most successful, popular one in recent years was Relic. That one is the only one I have in the Dice Tower library. It was a Warhammer 40K version.
Oh.
And they made it a little better. Someone wants to know what my rating of Talisman is? I don't know off the top of my head. 4. Like,
I think on BGG it was 6.5 when I looked at it.
my rating?
No, BGG. No, not yours.
that?
Just like the
Oh,
overall
I was going to
BGG
be like, I would
rating
not
is
have been.
6.5.
I could look up what my BGG rating is. I don't know that.
And then he will immediately change it to a 4.
Well, let's see. Maybe it's lower than a 4, so I don't want to. I don't want to
You
speak out of turn here.
Yeah, that's true.
Talisman 1983, 4.
Hey,
I'm
at least
good.
you're consistent, if nothing else.
I listened to this podcast where one of the hosts, Talisman, was one of his favorite games, like a top 10 game for him.
Really?
And he said, I've also never actually finished a game of it.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
That sounds odd to me. That, he just loves that experience, the romp and everything like that. And I guess it's kind of one of those things where for him, the journey is more fun than the destination, i.e. no one's ever actually made it to the middle. So there is no destination. You just kind of play it until they're like, all right, time to call it, I guess.
That's how I felt about Monopoly when I was younger. I loved playing Monopoly, but we never finished a game. We were always just like, good enough, we're going to call it.
Well, there you go. Talisman, it's a product of its time. It came out, a little less than a decade after Dungeons & Dragons. It's one of the first board games. And people were still in the roll and move at that point in time. And there's some ideas here that are great. I just am astounded that the game has never gotten better. Like, that things haven't improved on it. Like, someone hasn't made, where's the restoration version of Talisman? That could be something I'd be interested in. But
Sure.
Anyway, if you've never played it, it's definitely not worth your time hunting down. If you played it and you love it, you're like, but it's great. Be careful you introduce it to, because again, it's probably nostalgia. This is one of those games that I think is objectively not that good.
But you can come to Dice Tower East and play Relic.
Yeah, you can. You can. But, I'll put games in the library even if I think they're objectively not that good, if I know people will play them.
Yeah.
I mean, I have Monopoly in the library. There
And
are
our
games,
mannequin plays it, so.
Yeah, this year maybe he'll play Talisman. So anyway, that's Talisman from 40 years ago.
Hey everybody,
Hello, we are Ryan and Bethany.
from Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
Today we're talking about Turtle Splash. In this game, this is a kids or family style game. What you're going to be doing is you have this really cute little turtle disc. You're going to be flicking it down this ramp, trying to get him into the watering hole. If you get him in the direct middle, you get 3 chances. Outside, you get 2 chances. And anywhere else on the board, you get 1 chance. Well, chances of what? Basically, you have a memory aspect of this game as well. You have these 12 tiles. You're trying to move along your aspect of the board along with whatever tiles you flip over. So you have the more chances you get, the better you are at the flicking, the more chances you are to get a flip over the things that you need to advance your board. Again, this is a game for kids and families involving dexterity and memory.
So you know how when you go bowling and sometimes you're just like super bad or you're going with kids, so they put those bumpers up? So this game has something like that. You can play with essentially bumpers on the edge. So if you find that somebody's like really, really good at that dexterity aspect of it and you kind of want to even the playing field, you can just put those bumpers on for people who maybe may not be as gifted in dexterity, but that helps the kids.
The art in this game is incredibly adorable. You got all these cute little animals. These are all the guys that are trying to meet up with the turtle in the swimming hole. You've got these, there's lizards and flying squirrels, and you've got a red panda and a rhinoceros, and all these guys, and this adorable little orangutan baby. Every time we play this game, we just are talking about all these cute little animals for like half the game.
They are super cute. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you want to hear more of Ryan and I, make sure to find us on YouTube. We are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. Everybody, this is Ryan and Bethany, hoping you have a happy, healthy breakfast.
Bye, everybody.
guys.
Hello, my name is Aaron and welcome to One Word, One Question. Today's word is group. And the question is, what group of people do you primarily play board games with? Now, naturally, most people are probably going to have a variety here, but I'm talking about your primary go-to group. If you were to look at your last 20 plays, who are they primarily with? Answer A, if that group is primarily family, and this could be either your spouse or your extended family. Family is group A. Answer B, if your primary group is friends. Answer C, if your primary group is a dedicated board game group, either a club or at a school club, things like that. And answer D, if your primary group is online. Now, obviously, the online group could consist of a combination from the other options there, but let me know your answer in the comments. As for myself, my current most played with group is family, specifically my spouse. We've actually run through most of these board games with 2 players now, to the point where we're getting a little tired of them, but what are you going to do? Anyway, let me know your answers in the comments. I look forward to reading them, and I hope to see you again in another video. Take care. Bye.
January is almost over, which is unbelievable to me.
My daughter
because it feels like we just started.
My daughter called the next month. She's like, we have 2 more days, and then it's Valentine's Day month.
Oh, yes, don't remember. December's over, now January's almost over for our calendar.
Yeah.
So anyhow, we're going to review several smaller games this week. 2 different games about gardens. One of them's better than the other. We're also reviewing Charioteer and Beer and Bread. And we got reviews from Jeff and Joey and Brian. The big thing for this week is, well, first of all our live stuff's back. So it has been back. But we got crowd surfing with marginally more games than last week. But just marginally. There's not still a lot of stuff going on Kickstarter.
January's not over yet.
But you know what? One of the projects I could talk about for the entire show. And maybe I will.
You should.
And then we got, that was crowd surfing I was talking about. We have Smorgasbord. But the big thing is our top 100 is continuing on this week and finishing this week. So today is 50 through 41. These are going off at 1 p.m. each day. And we're going to finish on Friday with our top 10 games. Has anything changed? I don't know. I only know a little, But there is, I'm not going to say nothing. Just come and watch those. Other than that...
there's What's Happening.
What's Happening is happening today, which is Z is playing through Root again. This time he's playing the hard factions. I said once he's done with today, though, he is considered a Root expert. So you can ask him any questions you want to know about Root. Z Garcia is your man.
Yeah, if you want to know the best strategy for the lizard cult, definitely Garcia question.
I will be here at noon with a Q&A, and yeah, lots of different things going on this week. We'll see you. Let's get moving.
Hey there everyone, it's Jen, the board game librarian, flipping some pages and pushing some cubes with my segment From the Page to the Table, where I pair books and board games together that share a common theme. This week we're going to have a somewhat serious look at How Beautiful We Were by Mbalo Mbue. So in this book, we have a village that has been ravaged by the American oil companies and oil companies in general. Children are dying left and right. It's a really bad scene and setup here. So this is a multi-generational story where we see the effect of what oil drilling really can do on a very small village. One of my favorite games, it was in my top 10 from last year, that has to do with an oil spill is The Spill by Smirk and Dagger Games, 1 to 4 players, ages 10 and up, 50 minutes. Whew. So we're on a little serious note this week. So a cooperative game where you are working together to push back an oil spill and save as many animals as possible, take out as much oil from the ocean as well, too. I love games that have really unique themes, and the Spill checks off that box. And it's also got that really cool dice mechanic where you pull the dice down on the oil rig and then puts them into the different quadrants. I love that as well too. That's like its uniquely awesome thing. But we have this serious theme too. I don't think we can talk about this game without that. And I think it's something we all really need to ponder about conservation, how we're treating Mother Earth, and just what we can do to be better Earth citizens. So on that note, happy breakfast.
Happy New Year, and in light of the new year, I'm going to be doing my top 5 games that have come out in 2022. And I've really only played 20 games that have come out in 2022. So these top 5 are the best of the best. So let's just hop in to my top 5 games that I've played in 2022. So number 5 on my list is Boss Dog. And a cool thing about this game is I actually got a card printed with my dog Vinny on it, so I think that's really cool. And I've unboxed Boss Dog recently, and all the other games on my YouTube channel, so if you want to go check out all the unboxings, you can check them out after Board Game Breakfast. Number 4 on my list is a game that has really good art, and that is Flamecraft. It has really cute art that I like, and it has some really cool dragon minis. Number 3 on my list is one of my favorite art game of the year, actually, Dog Park. And maybe I just like dogs a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. Only you guys can tell. And number 2 on my list is a game that I really love the theme of, Marvel Dice Throne. As you guys know, it's one of my favorite games this year, but just over at my number 1 spot of the games I've played in 2022 is Basketballs. And I've just been really liking basketball lately, and this is just a game that I really liked, and it helped my basketball love. So I really hope you guys have a great new year and maybe an even better breakfast. Bye.
All right, everybody. Well, there's no best of the shelf today because we're still resorting the library. So every couple years, I didn't do it last year, but I did do it this year, I want to resort the library because I get really irritated. What happens is the library comes and I move things around and put them in their different spots. But as time goes by, it feels janky at the edges. I don't know how else to explain it. I don't put things alphabetically because that's, for me, a terrible way to do it. But
you're angry at past Tom.
No. Past Tom's fine. It's mid Tom that's a pain in the neck. But so what we did is we came back from the cruise. We have some stats of the stuff in the cruise, but that doesn't really matter to me, the stats on the cruise, because I'll look at them, but I know what games get played and don't get played.
Yeah.
And so it's time to make some changes. The final shelf, we have 27 shelves in our library, not counting the expansion shelf. We have 27 shelves in the library. The final shelf is full of just new things that we threw on there. So I rearranged all the shelves in the library, and I didn't rearrange all of them, but I did enough work to cause chaos for months.
For me.
Yes. I went in there, I pulled games off the shelves, I rearranged them, I got rid of games, although, incidentally, the number of games I got rid of was not particularly great. It's just that I got rid of a couple games that no one played, that then 6 games could take their spot.
Yeah, I was honestly surprised that you didn't get rid of more games. Like when I saw the back area,
well,
I thought that there was going to be more, the way you were talking about it.
Well, here's the thing. So I thought about that. So we are now down to 26. I cleared off an entire shelf of games and almost 25 because there's enough space on other shelves that there's almost 2 whole shelves cleared of games. But there's something to be said. So you might say, well, you should get rid of every game that nobody played. That would be a legit thing to think, I think, right?
That would be the easiest mindset to go into.
Sure.
I don't think it's the right one.
No, and there's a couple reasons for that, which I want to talk about. One is I want there to be games in the library that I want to play. So if I'm like, I feel like playing this game, I want it to be there.
Because it's your collection.
That's the case with other people. Like, Z will say, hey, I want to pull this game out and teach it to people every once in a while. Then it stays in the library, even if it's not particularly popular. But also, it helps to have a collection of games for the wow factor. Yes, I could go down to 10 shelves, but 20 shelves looks better. And you do like the options. There's something about being able to go in there and look at all the different, games and say, this is the one I want. And if that's the only one that you were going to play it anyway, but having to be able to pick that from 10 psychologically feels better. I'm sure there's some sort of psychological reason for this.
I also think that we talked about nostalgia earlier. Just having games that people have played, there's something that's so nice about going to a board game store and just seeing like, I played this, I played this, I played this, I played this. And they may not pull it out. No one may pull it out. But if they're games that used to be popular and they have that nostalgia aspect to them, just seeing that can be nice.
You also have games that you aren't going to play, but it's there for somebody. We have a whole game shelf of 18XX, train games, historical games, things that none of us are necessarily chomping at the bits to pull off the shelf and play at the retreat or play at the cruise, but they're there for variety's sake. And I mean, at East, we did have someone who went through and tried to pull off almost every historical war game that he knew. And that's interesting, to be able to appeal to that. And that person was then able to teach these games to other people. So the library having them allowed not just one person, but several people to experience something different and new.
These are Twizzler socks, by the way. I will warn you.
They are.
You don't try to manipulate the system. I will figure it out. Okay? Because people are like, oh, I checked the game out and checked it back in, so you'd see one checkout on the list. Well, first of all, one checkout doesn't really swing votes either way. Checking games out multiple times, we'll notice you're doing that. Don't manipulate the system to keep a game you like in there. Also, I go by my eyesight. So if I see, Twilight Imperium was checked out 25 times, but I never saw it being played, then it wasn't played. I definitely walk around at my conventions and look at them. There's no updated list online, someone asked, because, well, all I did was move everything on the shelves. So we have to go through and pull things out. They have to be re-stickered, reorganized, and things like that. But I'm pretty happy with where it's at right now. I have whole sections that look better. I have the whole historical game shelf. I have all my racing games are together now. All my dinosaur games are together. I'm just kidding. That's not a thing. But
But all your dinosaur racing games are together.
There's one of them.
Yep.
And
it's together with itself.
More shark games? No, the shark games are in the children's library. But there also is a children's library, which is other shelves too. So there's a lot of changes to be made. We'll go back and start looking at the shelves next week, in reverse order actually, because the first shelves got changed so much. I don't want to go back and do them though, because some of them didn't get changed. And then you would see half the same shelf and half not. It's too confusing. So we're starting at the end of the line. You'll see that next week. But that's what's going on with the shelves this week.
This is a segment where we take a look at a board game based on an IP. I tell you if the IP and the mechanisms match. Today we're looking at Adventure Capitalism. The game has two decks of cards, your managers and your investments. Your investments might look like this, and your managers will look like something like this. Everybody will get a random manager, which will give you a little extra scoring as the game goes on. Then you're going to be dealt a number of investment cards based on the number of players, and this will be your starting hand for the turn. On your turn, you're going to check out your cards. You're going to play one of these face down. You give these over, depending on the round, to your right or your left, and you'll gain some cards from your neighbor, and everybody will flip over the card. This will be kind of what you played, and you'll get $2 billion. This will continue until nobody has any cards left, and then you'll score these out. So some of these will have end-of-game scoring. Some of these will give you points based on set collection. Some, like that, will give you outright points. Some will be modifiers as you're able to get those. After you play 3 rounds, whoever has the most money is the winner of the game. Now, this is a small card drafting game based on a popular app that you could play on your iOS or Android. And in the app, what you're going to be doing is basically a time waster where it kind of runs itself. There isn't a lot to the game, and you're generating money as you go, and you're opening like a lemonade stand and a pizza place, etc. I had never played it before playing this, but I did download it and play it a little bit so I could take a look. What is this game? The game has nothing to do with the app, I suppose, outside of the artwork and the fact that you're trying to generate more income. I guess those two things do match, but the time waster aspect obviously was not going to be brought into the board game. It's not very interesting as an app. I don't find it very interesting as a game. Instead, what you're going to get here is a super light card drafting game, kind of like Sushi Go, I suppose. And you're going to be trying to maximize what you draft to score the most points, which is represented with money. And that's what you're going to get here. So the IP and the mechanisms in no way match here at all. For a light card drafting game, I suppose it's okay. But if you're looking to replicate what you found in the app into a card game, you are absolutely 100% not going to find it here, nor are you probably going to find a very captivating card game for you and your family. Meh at best. Average.
Hey, Board Gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back on The Breakfast, this time talking about The Great Split, an I Split You Choose game designed by Lorenzo Silva and Yalmar Hawk. Let's get right to the table and see why I've got the envie to play it again. Here's what's been getting me so juiced up about the Great Split. At its heart, it's a game about scoring points. You're moving up these cubes on these tracks. You're either scoring points or you're getting bonuses to help you move up further tracks, and you're also working on the multipliers that are going to give you big bonus points at the end of the game. But the meat of the game is in that I Split You Choose mechanic. Each player, out of a deck of 3 cards over the course of 6 rounds, is going to get a hand of cards. How do they split up these cards so that way they can entice the player to their left to take the set that I don't really need, at the same time ensuring that I get back good cards? On your right, a player is going to give you that same decision. They're going to pass this wallet, and inside that wallet is going to be a set of cards you also have to pick from. As you can see, the production's fantastic. It's easy to read on your player board where you are and what bonuses you're going to be getting and what points you're going to score. But also on the main board, you can see that it tells you exactly what's coming up in terms of in-game scoring and reminds you about those end-of-the-game scoring that you need to know. There's also some lanyap. The game plays up to 7 players very easily, and it comes with 7 starting characters. Those characters each give you a start on resources, but it also gives you some multipliers for the end of the game. Those multipliers, are you going to lean into those and go as far as you can with them, or just use them as a base and take a look at what's available during the game to score other points? That's a tough decision, but it's up to you. I'll tell you, I really love how fast this game plays and how much, with the right group, the table talk is just so much fun. The Great Split, a fantastic I Split You Choose game, made my top 10 list for 2022. It's a game I highly recommend. I can't wait to play it again. Until next time, laissez-les, bon temps roulé.
All right, so last year I backed the world's largest Kickstarter ever, the Brandon Sanderson
did I.
Secret 4 novels.
I didn't.
Actually, Chris backed it on behalf of me, which is why I don't have access to it yet.
Did you back physical books or the...
Just the audio. Yeah, I just did the
Like
4
the
audio. The 4 audiobooks. That's all I read. I don't read physical books.
That's not reading. That's listening. But
it is good, and that's what matters.
So I backed the digital books and read them.
Jen Bartlett breaks through the wall. Books are books!
Anyhow, no, I'll be Eric Summer come and kick me in the head.
I use my local library a lot.
I still
just
never
for audiobooks.
listened to an Eric Summer book. Well, one, but that was a mistake. But anyhow, what we're talking about this book. Okay, so he wrote 4 books. Apparently, he wrote one for his wife, and she liked it. Then he wrote some more secretly over the pandemic. So he wrote 4 books in the time that George R. R. Martin brushed his teeth. Because I would say in the time George Martin wrote like 5 pages, but I'm under the impression that George R. R. Martin has stopped writing.
He's probably deleting pages at this point. He fires up his computer, hits backspace 10 times. Like there you go. That's my monthly.
And Patrick Rothfuss or whatever his name is, Rothfuss or Roth doesn't write. Those guys, I think, give writing a bad name. And well, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but boo to you. Boo!
No, I like that. Okay, so talking about Brandon Sanderson, I listened to an interview with him recently on someone else's podcast, and he said that the reason why he's so good at getting stuff out there is because he is an artist raised by an accountant. And so his mom instilled in him you have to work, you have to work, you have to work. But he's an artist, so he has to create, he has to create, he has to create.
I think that's a good work ethic. Those other guys are lazy. Anyhow, he wrote 4 books.
He's awesome.
He kickstarted them and made $1 gazillion. I don't know, it was like $35 million. It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
This is the single biggest Kickstarter in history.
So I backed it because I like his books, and I also backed it for 4 boxes of stuff that they
Swag.
would send. That's all just trash.
Loot
okay,
crates.
it was a loot crate of boring stuff, and I gave it all. I didn't keep one thing from the first
I
one.
stole that shirt and then I realized it was an X large.
You're
Yeah.
not going to put your Hoyd stickers all over the place, but not vandalize,
Right.
as the instructions specifically tell you not to.
No. I mean, it's fine, I guess. But anyway, so the first book is called Tress of the Emerald Sea. So these are all standalone books. They're all part of his
Cosmere.
Cosmere, which is his universe, which doesn't really matter. I've never really understood why that's that big of a deal, like why it's all in the same universe, except there's one guy who's always in all the stories or bounces around. I mean, it's this guy called Hoyd, although you might know him as Wit. He's Wit in the
Stormlight Archives.
Stormlight Archives.
Yeah.
Anyway, Hoyd is a very odd, weird character, very godlike in many ways, or alien, super powerful, what have you. Anyway, he's funny. He's silly. He's sarcastic. He's an interesting character. He shows up in very, very small doses.
Is he like Q in Star Trek?
He's less
Maniacal.
Less, yeah.
not much, actually, but he's very similar. Actually, that's a good comparison. He's
But
very
doesn't
similar
he
to
say
Q.
he's always where he needs to be? That's kind of his thing, right?
Gandalf-ish? I don't know. But yeah, he moves some of the stories along. He's actually pretty potent in a few of the stories in Cosmere. Anyway, he's like the thing that slides him in. Anyway, he is the author of this book. It's written in his voice.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
So it's about Tress. So she's the main character. He's in this book, Hoyd, but it's about Tress. And she is a girl who is in love with a boy, and then the boy is kidnapped by pirates or whatever. Something happens to the boy. And then
Good.
she goes off and hunts him down. He said he wrote this book based on The Princess Bride because he always wondered why the girl in The Princess Bride like, oh, Wesley got captured by the pirates. That's sad. And moved on. You know, in this case, it's the same thing, except she goes down and hunts him down. It's a very fascinating universe where he uses spores, and there's oceans of spores rather than water. In a very, very unusual, interesting way. Brandon Sanderson is the best at coming up with new magic systems.
Because he has oceans of little balls that change in the in the Stormlight Archives, right?
Yeah, there's all, that's in
so
the Underdark or whatever it's
yeah,
called.
so this is spores. Interesting.
But it's very interesting. It's very piratey. Well, there's half the book is about pirates. So I like it. The main character is very, very likable. It has a good conclusion. It's a one-shot. It's done. There's not anything else coming after this as far as I can tell. Really well done. The one thing, though, I don't like about it is Hoyd writes this book, and he writes this silly, sarcastic way like he talks. A whole book of that gets wearisome after a while. I always like silly characters in shows and things. My favorite character almost in any book is Wayne from the Wax and Wayne series from Brandon Sanderson, but I wouldn't want Wayne to be the main character of the entire series. That happens a lot of times. You know, there's a show where one person's funnier than everyone else. They're like, let's make a show about just that person. Let's make a show about Joey from Friends. And you know what? It doesn't work because those characters are better as supporting characters or as part of a cast.
They're comedic relief.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch like the Andy Dwyer show. As much as I love him on Parks and Rec, like, I don't need just Chris Pratt's.
That's correct.
The only, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want just that. And I feel like Hoyd does that too. He's constantly talking to you, the reader. He's like, now you might think this, but you would be a stupid moron, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I got it. Can we please move on with the story? But it is a really well done story. I like it. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I would have liked it more had it been written from a normal thing. They could have still had Hoyd be one of the main characters, because he is, without him having written it. And Brandon Sanderson said at some point in the future, he's going to write Hoyd's backstory, but after writing this book, it's not going to be written in this voice. And I was like, good. Hooray.
Dodged a bullet there.
So it's good. I like it. It's the first of 4 books. I have no idea about these books. I haven't read any of the preview chapters. He put up, like, I think a chapter of each book.
Yeah.
I didn't read any of that stuff. I'm just going into them blind. And I like this one a lot. So it was very pleasant. I like the whole...
How long is it?
I don't know.
Is it like
It's
super short?
book-sized, I would say.
Oh, you didn't read the actual book. You read a digital version of the book?
That's not reading.
That's not reading, Bob.
It's, I don't know, 5,677 pages.
Like phone-sized pages?
phone-sized
pages. I don't remember how many chapters it was. It took me,
Okay.
I don't know, 4 days to read it. That doesn't mean anything, though.
Doesn't mean anything.
I read really fast.
I'll have to
so-
see how many hours the audiobook is.
How long did it take you to read Hop on Pop?
That's Tress of the Emerald Sea from Brandon Sanderson.
Happy breakfast, everyone. Over the weekend, I was very fortunate enough to get to the table Great Western Trail, Argentina. Now, I haven't played Great Western Trail for a little while. In fact, I haven't played the second edition. So, first of all, you've got to love the meeples with their little cowboy hats. That is something that's also in the Argentina version, and it was phenomenal. I don't sort of think you need to upgrade your first edition to a second edition or get Argentina just because of those hats, but they're certainly a really nice touch. Now, as sort of games go, sequels go, it felt very much like Great Western Trail still. You're still getting that hand of cows, you're still moving along a track, you're moving your cowboy along one track, your train along another, but it's got differences. First of all, there's farmers, which is a third track of type of sort of people you can recruit onto your main board. There's ports, so you're going to be, once you've delivered your cattle, probably trying to put them onto a higher valued ship. Some of them will then sail to the ports of Rotterdam, Le Havre and Liverpool. Overall, it felt like we were playing Great Western Trail, but with an expansion. When it comes down to it, if you've got the original or the second printing, it's not probably an instant buy for you, because it's a little bit harder than sort of a little few more extra things to get your head around. Well, actually, if you haven't got the original in your collection, maybe Great Western Trail Argentina is one to check out, because it's not quite more of the same, just sort of shakes it up, and it's got those cool hats. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your breakfast.
I'm Jordan. This is Splendor Duel. This is one I finally got to play towards the end of the year, and I've really enjoyed this one. I do like full box Splendor. I don't believe I own it anymore, but it is one that I have enjoyed over the years. And it does play well with two. I think I probably played it most with two players. But Splendor Duel, it feels like what Seven Wonders is to Seven Wonders Duel, Splendor is to Splendor Duel, where it takes the original game, but it kind of turns it almost like, I don't know, 90 degrees. It's like it changes it enough that it doesn't feel like you're just playing the main game. What this one changes is you're going to have this grid board in between the players, and you put out all of the gem chips on it, and you are selecting a group of 3 gems, chips on the board in some sort of orthogonal or diagonal way, and then you're going to take those chips and spend them to buy cards, and the cards are going to give you permanent gems to use. You're kind of building up this engine of gems in order to create jewelry and crowns. The theme, I think, is thin, to say the least. But this one, I think, looks better than the original Splendor. I don't know if it's the same artist or a different artist, but I do think that this artwork is kind of packaged better in this one. But you're just kind of collecting these gems, turning them in for cards that are going to give you these other cards that are going to give you permanent gems. Then you use those cards to kind of snowball into getting more and more points and more cards. And I think this one, I think that drafting on the grid board works really well. And I think it comes together very, very nicely for 2 players. It says 30 minutes. It always takes us longer, but maybe it just take a long time. I don't know. But this one is fun, especially on a work night. You know, this is a good one to pull out with your spouse or significant other, and just have a good kind of relaxing time, stealing stuff from each other, and building some crowns. I'm Jordan. Thanks.
That's it, everybody. That's another Board Game Breakfast. We'll be back in 16 minutes. Z is going to be doing Root. He's going to show you all the expert things. Go in there and learn from the master.
He's going
of
to teach us how to
Root.
garden?
He's been playing Root for minutes, for sure. I'll be back at noon with a Q&A, and then at 1, we're doing 50 through 41. Actual good games today, folks. Actual good games. All right, we'll see you then. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Wendy Yee.
I'm Chris Yee. You love slamming pens, Tom.
Have fun reading.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vasel and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production.